Good afternoon, students. New topic today we will see about a reticulospinal tract. So basically, it is also one kind of a motor tract or extra pyramidal tract, which is divided into two parts or two different tracts, that is known as medial reticulospinal tract and lateral reticulospinal tract. So first one we will go for each one in detail. So medial reticulospinal tract, or that is also called as the pontine reticular tract. It originates from the pontine reticular formation from the reticular pontis olaris and reticularis pontis caudalis. These are the two different parts of the reticularis pontis. Runs ipsilateral through the longitudinal fasciculus and medial part of the anterior fasciculus in the spinal cord and terminate ipsilaterally at the all spinal level. So it runs in the same direction. It does not cross over the pyramids or it does not cross over the other areas. And the second one is the lateral reticulospinal fibers, that is also called as the medullary reticulospinal tract. That was about pontine, and this one is about medulla. So its origin from the medullary reticular formation nucleus, reticularis gigantocellularis, and some fiber cross and rest of them remain in the ipsilateral. So in the medial part all were ipsilateral from beginning to end, while here some fiber cross and rest of them fibers are remaining ipsilateral. Descend in the anterior part of the lateral funiculus, then terminating the internucleus neuron of anterior horn cell of spinal cord. So both are lateral and medial reticulospinal tracts are ending in the anterior horn cell. Only origin is different, that is from pontine, and this one is from medullary. This is how it is going, and in pontine it will be remain throughout the course in ipsilateral direction, while in lateral some fibers cross, other rest of are remain in the same ipsilateral type. Now we are able to see about a part of a brain. Initially we have ascending reticular activating system, that is called ARAS, that is in the top one, and when you see that here this one is our top one, here it's come here, and on the lateral part of both of that will be a locus ceruleus, and you have three groups. First one is a lateral groups, second one is a medial group, and third one is called as raphe nucleus. And this one is coming as a ascending reticular activating system, that is called ARAS. And in the down we have these tracks are there, that is starting from here and going up to the anterior horn cells of spinal cord, and this is called as the reticulospinal tracts. And this is a complete reticular systems where it functions in the physiology of CNS. As we see in the other diagrams, that where the pyramidal and extrapyramidal tracts or motor or sensory tracts are coming, so just beneath the pyramidal tract you have extrapyramidal tract, where initially we have seen about the rubrospinal tract, and now we have a reticulospinal tract. It will be here. Just this is called as reticulospinal tract. One is here and one is here near the fissure. So that will be about a medial and lateral of reticulospinal tract. So if we see the functions of this reticulospinal tract, that is both medial and lateral, so what it does, it integrates the information from the motor system to coordinate autonomic movement of automatic movements of locomotion and posture, especially the anti-gravity muscles. So what are the anti-gravity muscles? So if you see the postural muscles, that is also called as the postural muscles or the back muscles of spine. Especially we have two types of back muscles, that is global muscles and local muscles. So global muscles are the major part of your muscles, a major part of your back muscles, while the local muscles are the small muscles, or that is also called as the intervertebral muscle, that the muscles are doing connection between the one vertebra to another vertebra. So these local muscles have a major role over the control of this posture, while the major muscles will have a global muscle have a major roles over the locomotions against the gravity. So whenever we stand erect and we have control our spine against the gravity with the help of coordinated movement between the local and global muscles. So ultimately the function it will be maintained by the reticulospinal tract, which will facilitate and inhibit the voluntary movement and influence the muscle tone. Now if you see, the muscle tone is a nothing but a kind of a partial contractions of each muscles, even the muscles are at rest. Why it is? If muscle tone is a certain amount of a initial contraction to maintain you against all kind of gravitational and non-gravitational forces and make you erect in the space, and it conveys the autonomic fibers from the higher centers, which also help in the modulate the pain impulses, and it also facilitate the voluntary control and reflex movements, control of the muscle tone through the gamma neurons, and it favor the expiration and facilitate the vasoconstriction in the arteries. It inhibit the voluntary control and reflex movement and decrease the muscle tone, that is about medial reticulospinal tract, which will have a facilitate the voluntary control, reflex movement and other things, while the lateral reticulospinal tract will inhibit the voluntary control, reflex movement, decrease the muscle tone and favor the inspiration, are responsible for vasodilatation. Next tract is olivospinal tract, or it is also called as the bulbospinal tract or tract of Helveg. So what it steps up bulbo and spinal. So from the bulb of medulla oblongata to the spine. So course it will arise in the inferior olivary nucleus, enters into the anterior part of lateral funiculus and terminate in the anterior horn cell of spinal cord, found in the cervical region only. So in the cervical region it is getting over, it is not running till up to the end of the spinal tract. And function is a reflex movement arising from the proprioception, and existence is doubtful. So it is responsible for all kind of the movements, reflex movement or proprioception, like whatever, like we are doing any kind of vibrating movement, okay, or you are going through the elevators and there is a certain amount of the movements is there in your feet, and you are able to maintain that, and as your elevator is reaching to the target position, you just take the initiative and jump or step over the platform. So this is kind of all kind of proprioceptive movements will be controlled by this or carried by this olivospinal tract. The next tract is called as tactospinal tracts. So it originates from the superior colliculus of the midbrain. Fiber crosses in the dorsal tegmental discussion, or that is a discussion of Maynard, which is a ventral to the cerebral aqueduct, and descend to the anterior wide funiculus and terminate in the anterior horn cell of the spinal cord. Okay, so these all are extrapyramidal tracts are the arising from the central nervous system and ending somewhere in the spinal cord. The functions of this tactospinal, so what it says is that is control of the head and arm movement, that is upper part of upper body posture in response to the visual and auditory stimulus. So whenever we have a while moving or maintaining the posture, we have a vision also have a major role to maintain your this posture, as well as auditory stimuli have some role to control over the postures. So this tactospinal tract will help to control the head or arm movement, or control the head in the space along with the arm movement, or simultaneous movement of the arm during the posture or gait, which is in response to the visual and auditory stimuli. So this is how this tactospinal tract will help to maintain your posture in space and maintain you against the gravity. So today we have seen about four different tracks of extrapyramidal tract. It is rubrospinal tract, reticulospinal tract, medial and lateral, and this one is tectospinal tract. Thank you. And one more we have seen about the olivospinal tract. So the now vestibulospinal tract is remaining, and all six extrapyramidal tracts or motor tracts that we will see in the coming videos. Thank you.